I think it's pretty clear to everyone that the internet is the future of humanity in every way. And for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's very frustrating to see the leaders of our country here in America and around the world uh, have no clue how the internet works. I mean, it's mind boggling to see how completely disconnected they are from the rest of the world, um, which really just shows you where society is at right now. You know, um, we don't have down to earth leaders anymore. At one point that might have been the case, or at least more true. But right now, I mean, it's very obvious how completely disconnected the leadership is from the common man. Um, then they come off as pretty down to earth. I think some people felt that, a lot of people, I guess, felt that Trump was very down to earth. But when you look at his background, I mean, he didn't live a normal life. He's not living anything that resembles, what most Americans are living, rural or urban. And that's really, same for Joe Biden and Obama and all of them, right? They didn't live a normal life, right? And they're going to tell us how to live ours. That's absurd. I think most people get that. Most people understand that the idea that somebody who has no clue what you're doing is going to tell you how to do it, right? That's frustrating for anybody, And that's one of the things that I have sympathy for in regards to, people living in rural states, because that's their big thing, right? From what I understand, that's their big thing. I don't want these government bureaucrats telling me how to live my life when they clearly have no clue what I'm even doing. That's perfectly respectable as far as I'm concerned. Because, right, I mean, it's infuriating. It's infuriating to have people, I don't know how many of you watched the Zuckerberg hearing in, 2018, I think? But, I mean, that was just ludicrous. To watch these congressmen who clearly have no clue what they're talking about investigate this guy. And he's trying to explain to these dinosaurs how cell phones work, and internet and software, and they just have no clue. And it's like these people they're just running our society indefinitely, just as long as they possibly can. And I know that in my circles, people, discuss things like, oh, maybe we should have an age limit, which I totally think we should, right? 70, 75. You need to be out of office. I don't care what office it is, but you need to go. You're holding up the line. You're at a point where you need to be retired. You need to move on and do something else. Because if you're 90 years old, you're on your last two brain cells, and you're trying to run my country, it's a very uncomfortable thought. I don't hate Joe Biden as a person, but I certainly don't think that he knows what he's doing. And I don't think somebody who doesn't know what they're doing should be running my country. I mean, that's embarrassing. I live in America. I live in what should be the greatest country on the face of the planet, right? By the metrics that the Americans use anyways. And this guy who's literally on his last two brain cells is running my country. He is the leader of the free world, And it's like, wow. That's critically embarrassing, And he was only voted in because things were too crazy. And everybody was like, well, we want things to calm down, so we'll take Sleepy Joe. And it's like, wow, that's, that really shows you where we're at. But I think that Biden is the calm before the storm. Things are going to get a lot worse politically and socially here. they're already not doing good economically, and if things get worse, shit's gonna pop off, you know. And whenever you discuss big concepts like this, right, the members of Congress, the leader of the nation, one has to wonder, what do I do as the common man? What do I do as Joe Schmo over here, right? What does this mean for me? And I would say, as long as you have a voice, you have to utilize it. Okay? Even if nobody is listening, you should still speak. I think that you don't feel like you can do much, but when people start voicing opinions about things, other people show up and say, yeah, I agree with that, you know, even if they're idiotic opinions. So if you think you can come up with an opinion worth 2 cents, I mean, I would throw it out there, you know, because you can. You have the internet now. You can amass a following just by accident, basically. And I don't think that we, as the common people, have figured out how to utilize that yet. And I think that we really need to, because I think in the long run, the internet can be used to utilize our authority over the government. Because that's a very fundamental principle here in the US, is that they are not our leaders. They're our employees. They work for us. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden are my employees. I pay them. They are on my payroll, right? They're on your payroll, right? We collectively decide what the hell is supposed to be going on here, okay? Now, sometimes we disagree, right? There's a lot of issues that we disagree on, and they're supposed to kind of be the tiebreakers, I guess you could say. But they work for us, and we need to exert our authority as the American people over our government. And I think that it's on us to figure out how we can develop the internet into a tool to do that. Because they're not just going to let that happen. So we have to make it happen. And if we can find a voice, if we can find a way to hold them accountable and group together online, that can be a very powerful tool, and that may mitigate violence in the future, which I think is very important for us, because we shouldn't be fighting each other as Americans. You know, I don't really want us to fight in general, but fighting is often necessary when communication breaks down. But communication, the last place communication should break down is in your own home. We should always be willing to have a conversation and talk, you know. And there are issues that we feel like we can't talk about right now, or, you know, that constantly devolve into an argument. And we need to be able to address those things. But a big part of why these things, you know, you always hear people out there saying, oh, they're just trying to turn us against each other, man. And it's like, I don't think that they're pushing it, right? They certainly play it up and make it a bigger deal than it should be, but like, we're not all on the same page. It's not like the politicians changed our opinions about things, you know. The politicians didn't make you pro-choice or pro-life, right? You decided that. You went through your own life and had your own experiences and came to whatever conclusion you came to based off of that. The politicians will play it up and make it into a bigger issue than it should be, or make it spiral out of control so that you feel like you need them, but you don't need them. They need you. They need your vote. And I think that once we as a society figure out how we can utilize that authority that we have, we can start to hold these people who seem completely out of control and disconnected from us more accountable. And I think that we can have leadership that's more grounded and has a better understanding of the world around us, because the current leadership does not. And I think that we need to do the best we can to hold those people accountable and to have better dialogue as a society.